I want the money, money in the cars, cars in the clothes. I suppose I just wanna be.
We are going to be emancipated from mental slavery, whilst others try to free their body. None but ourselves can free our mind. The mind is your only ruler, sovereign. The man who is not able to develop his own mind is bound to be slave by the man who can use his own mind. Madam President, fellow members and guests. That speech was given by Marcus Garvey in 1937 in Nova Scotia. Marcus Garvey had a vision of taking black people back to Africa because he believed that black people in the Western world were still being held under mental slavery. Marcus Garvey could never have envisioned that today, in that same Africa that he wanted to take black people back to, there's a little country in the Syrian desert called Mauritania. It was the last country in the world to abolish slavery in 1981. They didn't outlaw slavery until 2007. CNN recently did an expose, and they found out that approximately 20% of Mauritania's population is still under slavery today. Now, this is not the kind of slavery that we read about in the American history books. Yes, the men are being beaten and killed. The women are being raped and impregnated by their slave masters. But the difference is this. These people believe that it is their birthright. They believe that it is their duty. They believe that it is their purpose in life to serve their slave masters in whatever capacity their slave masters see fit. Over the last few years, some underground groups have developed to try to free these slaves. The problem they run into is this. How do you free someone who doesn't even know that they're not free? Now, you may ask yourself, how does this mental slavery in Mauritania relate to your life in this part of the world? It is said that man is born free, but everywhere he is in chains. And of course, I speak about psychological chains. In the Bible, it says, man is slave to whatever is mastered him. A few years ago, I took my daughter to a circus. And she was amazed at the elephants. I was also amazed at the elephants, but for a different reason. I saw these huge, magnificent beasts. And I asked myself, what is it that makes them so obedient? I mean, these are animals that they could tear the old building down if they chose to. I was even more amazed when I looked at the ankle and I saw a chain, a small chain holding this elephant to a stake in the ground. That thought stayed with me for years. But it was years later that I decided to do the research. And I researched, how do they train circus elephants? Here's what I found. When the elephants are babies, they take these elephants and they tie a big metal chain to their ankle. They bolt it to a concrete pole in the ground. And as much as this little baby elephant tries to escape, it pulls, it yanks, it screams, it cries, no matter what it does. It cannot move. It cannot break away from these chains. It goes on sometimes for days, weeks, and months if necessary. Eventually, the elephant gives up because it realizes no matter what it does, it cannot break away. And like the slaves in Mauritania, the elephant now believes that this is its fate in life. At that point, the elephant is trained. You can take a small chain and tie it to that elephant's ankle and put it to a stake in the ground. And as soon as the elephant pulls and it feels that little tug on its ankle, it gives in. Because it remembers that it cannot break away. At that point, the chain is irrelevant. The elephant is chained up mentally. How many of you, like the slaves in Mauritania, believe that you're not entitled to all this wealth and abundance around you? What is it? What is the belief that has become your slave master? Maybe you think that you're too old. Maybe it's because you're black. And of course we all know that this is a white man's world. But I have a better one. Maybe it's because you're a woman. And once again, of course, we all know that this is, after all, a man's world. But I think we need something a little bit more universal. How about money? We can all relate to money, right? Some of us ain't got no money, never had no money, never gonna have any money. I'm not here to give the solutions today. Because as in the words of Marcus Garvey, none but ourselves can free our mind from mental slavery. I'm simply here to ask a question. What have you allowed to become your slave master? And like the elephant, have you created your own self-imposed limitations? How many of you, when you decide to do something different, step out of your comfort zone, that little voice pops up in your head and reminds you, you can't do that. And then you ask yourself, then you say to yourself, oh yeah, I almost forgot about my self-imposed limitations. I am Cliff Townsend, America's #1 hope dealer. And I'll leave you with his last few words. And if anybody ever asks, let them know that I said it. To be poor is a crime. And not only do you have a right to be rich, but you deserve to be rich. Adam,